only I was editing this today for us, guys. Hope you're all grateful, because editing's my least favourite thing to do in all of the world. I'm going to have to remove my headphones. Hold on. So let's listen really carefully to the words that she uses, and then I'm going to unshare and we're going to talk about this. She's talking about Erica Kirk. Have a listen.
Erica really just being what she was described as in that Department of War executive office email. She's just an quote unquote emotional asset that keeps getting boosted every time she gets emotional. Erica.
Right, we just listen to that one more time.
Really just being what she was described as in that Department of War executive office email. She's just an quote unquote emotional asset that keeps getting boosted every time she.
Hang on. All right, Candice, go away. I can't shut her up now. Hold on. Right. I froze when I heard that, and I replayed that about 9,000 times. So, and this, I've verified this. In a leaked Department of War email, Erica Kirk is referred to as an emotional asset. Under law, an asset is something that is held by an individual or an organization that accrues wealth, that holds value. So the Department of War holds what they refer to as emotional assets. That would be an asset that is being paid for by the emotions of people that are paying into it. So this is what I mean when I say you can go into energetic debt. Okay, when you're in energetic debt, you will always be skint. People think that making money these days is hard. It really isn't. Once you understand the natural laws at play, it actually becomes very, very simple. Not easy, but the rules are very simple. And if you play by the rules, you play by the rules, and life rewards you. So I still cannot believe like these words coming out of my mouth, but it's there. It's there. It's right there. Okay. The Department of War holds emotional assets. So by definition, that means it's a war on the soul. They're certainly not. You don't fight. You don't win wars with emotions. So yeah, that shows that it's not a physical fight, number one. So that is how energy looshing is at play. And what we've just been told there, and here's something else that's really interesting. So Candice, I watched the rest of that episode, and Candice doesn't expand ever when she's talked about this. So Candice was the one who discovered that this leaked email from the Department of War that refers to Erica Kirk as an emotional asset. You are anybody who's given their attention to that, and I gave it. They've put it there in black and white. Believe me when I say we now know that that's what they hold. Then that's what that organization is holding. That is of value to them. Are emotional assets. And when I started thinking, oh my god, obviously everything's an emotional asset. Like Hollywood's an emotional asset, Disney's an emotional asset, but now they've got actual individuals, which would also be, I guess, also known as sleeper cells that would be activated when needed. But for the purposes of this class, this is how your energy gets harvested. You are paying with your emotions into assets that they are then holding, which is why you are actually energetically in debt. Is any of this making sense? Does anybody have any questions before I keep going? Because I'm aware that this is deep, heavy quantum conspiracy stuff today, guys. Okay, hope you knew what you were getting yourselves in for. But here's what's so incredible about when we start to really truly understand this is you start to be able to understand how it is that your energy is getting harvested. And so you can call it back. Because if you are in the process of individuating, if you are in the process of wanting to act throughout everything with just nothing but your, as you were designed to do, which is by the gift of your instinct and inspirations, you need to be able to recall your energy, which is your time and attention, back into a place of wholeness. Okay, this game goes like so much deeper than any of us possibly knew. So again, the two words again, they just keep blowing my mind every time I put them side by side. But we have our own Emma's put, is it the same as the workplace? Can you expand on that? Emma, I don't understand what you mean by that. Do you mean, is it, can a workplace be an energetic asset, an emotional
Yeah,
asset?
yeah, because we're attending this workplace, we're doing our bit and they're giving us money for it. But at the same time, we're putting our effort and our attention onto specific things.
So what I would say to that is yes and no. So as with anything, most things can be depending on, like, there's never anything good and there's never anything bad, as crazy as that sounds. It all just is. So if you were going to work and giving value, so we've all got innate value to give, which ultimately is our time and attention, but it's also what we do with that time and attention, because we've all got the same levels of both. We've both got access to the same amount of time, and we've all got sort of the relatively the same attention span, even though ADHD people would argue with you. There is an absolute argument to be made that you're always exactly where you're supposed to be, learning what you're supposed to be learning. And if you're prepared to take the lesson, you can take it into the next step. Something regarding employment, it's very, very, very individual. It depends what construct you have bound yourself to when you have taken on that employment. If you've taken it on with resentment and you're there loathing the whole thing, yes, you are absolutely paying in. You're just paying into debt, and you're allowing your energy to be loosed. But there's always an argument to be made that if you are like, I mean, look, the rules of life can be applied to anything. Was accept it or change it, accept it or change it, accept it or change it, which is where the serenity prayer always comes in so beautifully. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I can't change, the courage to change the things I can. You've chosen to be in employment. Nobody has put the gun to your head. So either accept that you're there, and if you're going to accept it, you accept it with grace, which means you go and you do the best that is being asked of you, even if that's, scrubbing the toilets, even if that's working in a system that you believe to be corrupt, like the education system or the hospital system. Because if you're doing it to the best of your ability, there is still so much good and value that you can be giving. When you are doing it in that sense, you are banking your value in the universal bank, and you will get paid out for it. You will get paid out for it. It won't be by that wage for that particular employment, but I promise you that you're making deposits in the universal bank. If you're going every day and you're bitching about it and you're moaning about it and you're like, what the fuck am I doing here? You're speaking that into yourselves, because your soul knows that you weren't forced to. So your soul's saying to you, like, yeah, what are we doing here? And this is when you'll start to experience things like depression and anxiety and things like that. And you'll go into energetic debt. So if you're accepting it, you can want to change it while still accepting it and think, right, I'm going to shift my head around this completely. I don't have to work. I get to work because my cells are always listening. And ultimately, the ultimate act of individuation is programming your body to understand that you don't have to do anything, because you are a child of God. And so nobody can force anything from you. But we do. I mean, this was one of the big ones for me when I was working on my word spells, understanding that the universe is, my universe, the macrocosm that I'm in is a collective of what I am speaking. I don't allow my kids to say I have to. I don't allow my kids to say, what's the other one we can't say? We can't say we're sick. We say, we're going through a healing, we can't say I have to. We have to say I'm choosing to, because we know that our body's listening, and you are choosing to go to work. Nobody's forcing you. Is I have to go to the doctor and get this rash checked out. Let's change our wording. I'm choosing to go to the doctor because I do not trust myself to diagnose myself, and I need to outsource my authority. It's like just your body's listening all the time. So you can go into energetic debt being in employment. You can also add so much value to your own universal bank while you're in employment. It completely depends on what you are prepared to have the grace to accept and the courage to change, like under the law. Does that make sense, my love? Feel like I've just gone off on a mega waffle there. But the waffles tend to work. So I always pray before a waffle if someone's asked a question. Come on, God, deliver the answers. It's never just me talking, guys. So yeah, our emotional assets again. So how I was saying at the beginning of this course, because I wrote in the email to everybody today when I was saying what we were going to talk about tonight, because I was like, heads up. Although I bet you didn't think we were going off down this path. The Department of War is stashing emotional assets. Got a trigger warning. But when I was sharing the email, what was I going to say? I've totally forgotten what I was going to say. What did I say? I put about word spells and yes, no, that was it. And I put how the energy illusion has been very prevalent in the UK recently. What I meant by that was I started noticing a lot of these posts about, and again, when I refer to any of these, when I call something a psyop is short for psychological operation. It is a psychological operation when your energies are being harvested. That does not mean that innocent people do not lose their lives. Okay, 9/11 was a psyop. Innocent people lost their lives. Charlie Kirk was a psyop. To the best of my understanding, I think an innocent man lost his life with that, although we never truly know anything for sure. And I started noticing lots of these posts about this young boy who was stabbed by the Sikh, and the police didn't believe that he'd been stabbed, and his final words were something along, I can't breathe. And I found myself, because lots of people, it was really appearing heavily on my feed. So this was by people that are normally, I think, don't normally share stuff like this. And I read one bit of it, and I could feel myself immediately getting upset for the boy. And I was like, immediate, because you have to be able to immediately recognize it. You should not have any emotional attachment to anything that is not going on in your actual physical reality. So if I said to you guys right now, so I'm staying in a tent right now. If I said to you guys right now, Dave in the local village died this morning, all of you have just had zero emotional reaction, and that's how it should be. That should be your emotional reaction to the announcement of a death of somebody that you have never met. If I then give a story behind it, so remember how we spoke, I can't remember if we spoke about this actually in week 1. Hang on, let me just make a note to speak about this in this poll now. Truth versus story. If I then put a story to the fact, right, Dave in the village died this morning. Fact. It isn't a fact, by the way, guys, I'm making this up. Maybe there was someone who called Dave who died. That would be very bizarre if there was someone called Dave who died in the village this morning, but I don't know. This is me giving an example. Dave in the village died this morning. You've got zero emotional reaction to that, as is fact. No, none of your energy has just been harvested. If I start to give a story behind it and say, Dave had 2 small children, they were only 1 and 3. Their mother died of cancer last year. The little girl was standing over his body, shaking him for hours, begging him, Daddy, Daddy, please wake up, please wake up. You're going to start to have an emotional reaction to it. I'm harvesting your energy. We've only ever got truth. Everything else is a story, and the truth only comes from God. So we've allowed to get our energies harvested because we've allowed ourselves to have emotional reactions to things that are directly outside of our sphere of influence. We've only got one sphere of influence. It should just include, which, you know, if you're a parent, it should include your children, and it should include your neighbours, and it should include your colleagues. Oh, family as well. Shit about that one. You tell I'm strange, can't you? But you know what I mean. But that's your sphere of influence, okay? That's who's, you know, if any of them died, that should rightly influence me, my emotions, colleagues, neighbours, and then we come back to the ultimate, the greatest metaphysicist of all, who laid the rules down for us all to be having the best life. And he was just like, and if you want to get on with everything, just love and forgive everybody in that sphere of influence, and life will be peachy. And instead, we are just in these perpetual states of anger and fear and sadness because we are allowing our energy to be loosed through the screen. Anything that, now this has been going on since the dawn of time. All right, my name is Bieber. I was named after a clothing brand from the 60s. My brother is named Blake, Bieber and Blake, if you will. Blake was named after Blake Carrington, who was the lead of a soap opera. I always forget if it was either Dynasty or Dallas, but my mum was that woman, okay, glued to the TV set. But even by then, so before we had the streaming, and I'm like early 80s, okay, we have 4 channels on my TV. Just give me one sec. Are you okay? Do you want to put...
Are we allowed to watch Homeward Bound, Lost and Princess Kid?
Yeah, you can watch one more while Mummy's doing a call. Okay, you might... Sorry about this, guys. You may need my phone charger. Homeward Bound 2. That is permitted. Okay, come on, guys. I need you to...
Yeah, we're leaving by.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Lola, leave that water over here, sweetheart. Mummy needs to be able to reach it. Thank you, baby. Where was I? Right, we only had 4 channels. Now, people were already back then, like, who, so JR gets shot, like this character in this soap opera, and people were, someone's corrected me and said it was Dynasty. There you go. Blake Carrington. So this became a global storyline in actual newspapers, who shot JR. Now, let's really think about that. Let's really think about the absurdity of that and the example of what that proves. This was back when there were 4 channels, but they were still having everybody's. So in this case, they were harvesting excitement. So they can always, the 5 emotions were gifted to us by God, but all of them can be harvested. Like excitement's really harvested through the PORN industry. Julie's put, do you not feel that you know them if you have watched and listened to them for some time? You don't know them though, Julie. You've only, that's by design. You don't know them. You don't have a clue about them. This is it's a character, and a character is not of truth. The only things that we need to be concerning ourselves with, the process to individuation, will only come when it is you and God. God is truth. These are characters on screens. And as much as I am real, what you see presented to you on the screen is still a character. You would only be able to say you knew me if I was in your direct sphere of influence, in your physical reality. This truly is a simulation. We will feel like we know them. Absolutely. I felt like I knew Charlie Kirk. I felt like Prince. Cried for 3 days when Prince died, guys. Like, I legitimately thought I knew Prince. And I thought we'd be besties if we met. Okay. Want to see some, right, we could go, this isn't until, I think it's module 4, which is making order out of chaos. But Prince's dictionary definition of the natural laws moving through somebody, in that, like, a musician is making because the definition of all of it, like, what God is God is making order out of chaos. That's what God's laws do. That's what the natural laws do. They make order out of chaos. And that was the light that, like, on the first day in the story of creation, God inserts light on the first day, but he doesn't make day and night until it's either day 2 or 3. I can't even remember. But what is that light if it's not daylight? Well, it was the light of order, and God's laws are the light of order. And when you see a musician, for example, Prince, play when he just gets moved. Like for homework, if you want an example of what I'm talking about, everybody needs to watch the Prince perform at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. My Guitar Gently Weeps. It is a prime example of order of chaos. Chanel's put Sam's watching Emmerdale. Absolutely is, mate. Absolutely is. We are watching fiction. And that's why, that's why they're called actors. And so you've got when you're dealing with law as well, you've got public and private. So private is the laws that are in standing. If anyone read my Substack essay recently, where I explained how it was the violation of natural law that led to us suffering this really horrible tragedy with our cat. But where was I going with this one? So acts. So you've got public and private. So private was a private standing that I had. That was a private construct and arrangement. We've also got the constructs that we bind ourselves to and the acts that we bind ourselves to in the public, which is when you're dealing with like the government and, for want of a better word, those wankers. But that's why even in Parliament, it's an act that goes through. It's not real. It's a fictional story. It's a play that they're writing. It's a story that they're writing. They're authoring it. It's an act. It's not truth. Only God can author truth. Which is why when I say to people, about building a personal brand online, I say it's never been it's never, ever, ever, and I swear I'm not just saying this to you, it has never been a more important time to do it. And I'll tell you for why. Because when you look at social media as a whole, because anything can be used for bad or good, like I was explaining to Emma with employment can be absolutely brilliant for you, or it can be the worst thing that ever happened. It's entirely it's entirely going to lie on what you are prepared to accept with grace and what you are prepared to change with courage. Social media is that I love social media, okay? Social media's changed my life, but I accept what I cannot change with it, which is I cannot change that I'm being battered by the algorithm. I cannot change that I am being absolutely mind controlled to the best of their abilities. I can't change that my retinas are being scanned every time I'm doing it. Can't change that my thumbprint's being whacked every time I'm doing it. What can I change? Well, I can change with courage. I can change how I'm using it. So I can use it only to create and not to consume. And if I do that, and if I do it with originality, so I only share my original thoughts that are coming through God, if I do that, I can use it for good. So anything can be used for good or bad. But your personal brand will become so valuable to you, because if you are sharing your original thoughts with God that are coming from God, billions of people all over the world use social media, okay? Billions. And like I said, it's up to you how you use it. You can use it to consume or you can use it to create. As soon as you start using it to create, you're putting yourself in front of that audience, because less than 5% of people who use social media use it to consume, or use it to create, or use it to consume. Of those 5% that are using it to create, majority of them are using AI, which will not be them producing value, because you can't be there producing fiction, because they're not producing something that's with the original thought of God. That is why. So when I made all those COVID videos way back in 2020, I was not monetizing them at all. I didn't know what to monetize. I was like, hey, buy my ebook. I had like £3.50. Those videos were worth so much more than £3.50 for the information that they gave. The videos alone, I'm not even referring about the ebook. And when you look at it from that standing, I was sharing the original thoughts that were coming through me. When I was doing that, I was adding value up there to the universal bank, literally stacking gold, because that was my goal to give. That's what my goal to give is. Your original thoughts that God is telling you to act on, which is coming to you via your instinct and your inspirations, that is God wanting to experience life as you. Like, this is what I say when we're all made in absolute perfection. You start going down this awakening journey, you start thinking, I need to be spiritual, and that looks like this. That looks like me never raising my voice and drinking cacao every morning, sitting in a field with a band of daisies in my hair. And it's like, bullshit, it does. It means I can't swear anymore. No, bullshit, it does. You were made in perfection. If God wanted every single person who finds him to do that, we'd have all been made the same. It's like it would all be dancing in a field singing Kumbaya. My natural gifts, my natural zone of genius is I know that I'm a spell breaker. I know that I'm able to see things and then explain it in a way that makes sense, and a spell gets broken for people. I know that that's God working through me. That's why I always pray before my calls, or pray before I'm making the videos on social media. But that's me being in my zone of genius. Everybody has something to offer. Everybody has an art form to offer that they can build a brand of. It can be long social media style posts, carousels, Substack essays. Like, nobody needs to be showing their face anymore if they don't even want to. It's my particular gift. But what is important is that you are sharing your originality. Feels terrifying at first. Feels absolutely terrifying at first. But you are banking value. When you're not trying to parrot somebody's, oh, she's just said that, that sounds really good. I'll just whip that through ChatGPT and ask them to make it sound like me. That's nothing. That's you rewriting a fiction of a fiction of a fiction of a fiction. That's not truth. It's not going to go anywhere. People feel the resonance of truth. You'll feel like that's what will make you stop on one person and not on the next person. It's the resonance of truth, and you are not allowing your energy to be loosed in that way. You are recalling your energy, and you are using it with your own inspirations to get your voice out there. Because if the universe is the collective of the physical manifestation of all the words, why would you keep speaking words that aren't coming from the very, very core of your truth? Because when you're not repeating your truth, you're repeating an egregore, or you're repeating a program. Well, how do you think the program got there? Well, it got there when you were energy harvested. So you're literally running a Department of War program. Who wants to do that? Not me. So we can be stacking our own emotional assets all the time by what we give our emotions to. Well, what are our emotions? They are energy in motion. Well, what is our energy? It's our time and our attention. So you can start stacking assets for yourself today. This isn't money. Money's fiction. Money's in the physical. You can be rewarded monetarily when you start making deposits from the withdrawals from the universal bank. But you can't. You've got to start stacking something there first. You can't make a withdrawal when your account's in debt. And if you're in energetic debt, because we are allowing our energy to be harvested, that will reflect out in the physical reality, and you'll always find yourself in debt. Take it from somebody who used to hold her breath before she had to fill a car up, okay? I remember that feeling. I remember I had an account that I had two current accounts, and one that had like all the shit set up on it, like the Netflix and the Amazon Prime and all the rest of it. And I was surviving on government benefits, and I would have my benefits go into one account that had no direct debits on it, but that didn't have a debit card on it. And then the account that had the debit card on it had all of the Netflix everything going out on it. And I remember doing a transfer once at home, and I was like, oh, I'll put 20 quid into the debit account and I can go and get some shopping at Tesco. And by the time I'd got to Tesco, like, it had taken the Netflix out. And it left me with 7 quid as opposed to 20, and I couldn't afford to get the shopping, and I didn't have any more money to transfer over. And it was like, I've been in that place. That was only 6 years ago. What changed? Well, on the surface, you could say it was because I got into high ticket sales, but it wasn't. It was the personal brand. Yeah, affiliating with the high ticket sales is now what brings in the monetary gain for me. But every single person that bought off me when I first started in high ticket sales all came to me with the same message. It was your COVID video that woke me up. It was your COVID video that didn't get me. It was your COVID video that allowed me to go and hug my grandma. So what was that? That's literally written proof that I was making deposits in the universal bank. Now, how was I doing that? Well, I recalled all of my time and attention. It's obvious that I did that in 2020 because I managed to get me and my kids out of the country. Where do you know that time and attention wasn't going down every single rabbit hole or to Googling, right? Dear Google, I have had dear ChatGPT, I have had the message from God to go to Crete. However, all the media is saying that it is essential travel only. What should I do? Like, what response do you think I would have got? Any friend I ran it through? So I'm thinking, I'm going abroad. It's lockdown. Yeah, no, where are you going? Crete. You don't speak Greek. Do you know anybody in Greek? No. Like, there was nobody that was going to say, this is a really good idea, babe. I fully support you. So the only way there is to summon the bravery is to call your time and attention back to yourself. But people seem to think that when they're giving their time and attention is when they're on like massively focused on something. It's not. You've just learned today that the Department of War refer to things that they have as emotional assets. What have they bought those assets with? The clues in the word. How do you buy somebody's emotion? You energy harvest them. Why? Because our energy is our most valuable currency. So when you start recalling it back to yourself and you combine that with your willingness to listen to what your inspirations are telling you, to what your instinctual nudges are getting you, shit can get really good really, really quick. Like, you will be amazed where you are allowing your energy to be harvested when you really, really, really start taking responsibility for it. And that is your homework for week 2, to start taking responsibility for where it is that you are allowing your energy to be harvested. And again, your energy is being harvested. So if we go back to the example that was the question that was asked at the start about employment, you'll only allow your energy, because you're allowing your energy to be harvested all the time, by the way. That's why I said the minute you turn using social media to being a creator and not a consumer, you flip the energy harvest. You're now taking from that machine. You're not allowing it to siphon you. With employment, you will allow your energy to be harvested if you're going over there every day full of resentment. But if you're going over there full of grace and like, I get to work, this is really cool, this might not be what I want to do forever, but I'm really grateful that this is at least paying my bills. I'm really grateful this is going to at least give me some breathing room so I can explore other options. It's nobody is getting their energy harvested under duress. Again, let's go right back to the first maxim of law. Nothing can be done without your consent. Nothing can ever be forced upon you. And so when you really start eliminating I have to go to work, I'm choosing to go to work. And then you can choose to get really honest with yourself. So I'm choosing to go to work because I'm choosing to take the paycheck. And then you can start getting deep with yourself. You're like, because I'm choosing not to explore other options, because I'm choosing not to explore, if I can do. But again, the guy with, I have to go to the doctor. No, you don't. I'm choosing to go to the doctor because I am choosing to because I'm choosing to trust their diagnosis of what I'm instinct over what I could be learning from God. And it's all a choice, it's all a choice, it's all a choice. And as soon as you start to program yourself with that, every single time you say have to, you are programming yourself that you are not an almighty creator. You are programming yourself that something else has power over you. Because what do you mean you have to? You're a divine child of God. We're all equal under God. Don't have to do shit, girl. Right? Well, that's what we've got to really start telling ourselves. This has to be the internal narrative that is running continuously. Has to be eradicated. Try has to be eradicated as well. I shared this on my stories. I don't know who saw it, but I got this one from Lisa Nichols. When I heard it was like, oh, that hits. So I was like, girls, family meeting. We're also eliminating try from the family vocabulary.